Let's see what's out there.
Hello and welcome to Home Media Minefield presents Let's See What's Out There, a weekly video stream and podcast currently focused on Star Trek Picard Season 2, which is available to watch on Paramount Plus or Amazon Prime, depending on where you are geographically. In today's episode, my name's Keith Isles, and as always, I'm joined by
Pete Mealy. How's it going?
And we are both film and television enthusiasts. And in today's episode, we are going to have a spoiler-filled conversation around episode 6 of season 2, titled 2 of 1. Sorry, we're laughing because if you're watching this on YouTube, you can probably see that we've got backseat Pete. And I was somewhat distracted by that.
Yeah, sorry. My schedule got a little bit crazy, but we are dedicated to putting this show out for you, no matter what, which means that today I'm in the backseat of my car.
Which is fantastic. There you go. If you're not watching us on YouTube and wonder what the hell we're talking about, Pete's obviously explained it there. But if it is your first time here, welcome. If as you're watching this, you decide that this is your kind of jam, as it were, consider giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel, checking out some of the other work that we've got here. And if you hit the bell icon, you will get notified as and when new content drops. Obviously, if you're listening to us on the podcatcher of your choice, then please do consider giving us a review online, because that all helps if you like this kind of thing. But anyway, moving swiftly into it, we are going to start with, well, actually a little bit of Star Trek news, because not a week goes by where there isn't some news about something to do with this franchise. So
Yes.
rather odd, I have to say, that midway through Star Trek Picard Season 2 that we're on, we have actually had an official trailer for Star Trek Picard Season 3, which is due to release next year in 2023. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I suppose, in some respects, a spoiler for this season, although they could all be androids. Who knows, right? They could all be synthetics. But the big news around this one is the fact that not only is it coming back for a third season, but the 6 other main cast members from Star Trek The Next Generation will be returning to join Picard on his adventure. So we've got Jonathan Frakes is Commander Riker, LeVar Burton as Geordie LaForge, Michael Dorn as Worf, Gates McFadden as Beverly Crusher, Brent Spiner playing who knows which version of Sung, Data, Law, whatever that he's playing. And of course, Marina Sirtis as Deanna Troi. Interestingly, no Wesley Crusher, no Will Wheaton returning for this. We're not in the announcement anyway. But I was just wondering, Pete, how we've not talked since this has dropped, but I wondered, how do you feel about this?
So I love this news. One, because I haven't been really enjoying this season. And so all I could think was, next year will be the good season, because we're going to get all these characters that I love. And one of the high points of season 1, I think, was having the Troy and Riker episode, right? And I thought they played that well. Sure, the ending was weird, but I liked it. And so if they're just going to give us a little bit of fan servicey stuff here to close out this show, because the other thing, did you mention they said that third season is the last season of Picard? Did you read that too, or
right? Yeah. I mean, and my understanding is they filmed them back to back. So the
Yeah.
reason that they're able to sort of announce this already is because, well, a majority of it has been filmed, I guess, at the same time,
Yeah.
following season 2 that we're getting now. You know, the cynic in me feels that maybe it reeks slightly of desperation because maybe
Sure. No.
this season of Picard is not doing as well as one had hoped. And of course, we know that, you know, Paramount are resting a lot on this, with it being on Paramount Plus, which is their streaming service, which we obviously still do not have here in the UK at the moment.
Yeah.
And you know, it was, the very brief trailer was absolutely filled with member berries. You know, it was the real sort of bait stuff that you would want. And I'm in the same boat. I mean, I couldn't help but be excited at this news, and excited when I watched the trailer. And you know, I think this is great. But as I said, I think it's bizarre if they had launched this trailer on the final week of Picard season 2 airing or something, I would have kind of got it. But I just thought it was really odd that they've, halfway through this season, they've essentially, you know, kind of put a spoiler in there. Okay, I mean, hey, this is a spoilers show, and we are going to spoil what's happened so far. But so, spoiler alert. But you know, okay, Picard died
Well,
at the end of season 1 and came back. So I suppose it's sort of not a spoiler, because let's be honest, the Star Trek universe, as with many other sci-fi franchises at the moment, is nobody ever dies, do they? So,
no.
But
I did not see the trailer, so all I saw was an article.
Oh, right.
I didn't know there was a trailer out. Now I am going to go looking for it.
Well, there is a trailer. The trailer really doesn't show much. It shows, I've got for those of you watching on YouTube, I've got a little picture there. In the corner there, you can see Picard, who obviously is allergic to red nice 5 because he's got his glasses on, his reading glasses. But you see him looking at an oil painting of the Enterprise D, the one that he had hanging in the ready room. You basically hear a load of voiceovers from each of the different cast members, and you see him pull his original communicator badge and his, you know, cranberry command suit out of a chest, a drawer. And you know, I think Riker says something like, "Are we ready?" or something, and that's it. It really is just a teaser. They don't really show anything, but there's everything in there to make, you know, the fans excited and want to tune in. And as I said, I'm excited by this news. Don't get me wrong. The only reason I'm bringing it up is not to be controversial, but it's more, I'm slightly puzzled as to why they've dropped it when they have.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, to be honest. It's I think there's some panic here, or, you know, they're trying to spark interest any way they can. And I'm saying that without knowing anything, except that as I'm watching these episodes, all I'm thinking is, ugh, this is rough. This is rough. Yeah, but we'll get into that.
We will get into that. I mean, one of the things that worries me, it worries me both from the point of view of being a Star Trek fan and not liking spoilers and things of that nature, but also the very, if you like, future of this podcast and video stream that we do, this whole show, is the fact that okay, we're lucky enough to have Star Trek Picard on because it's on Amazon Prime, as the first season was. But as you well know, there's been a whole season of Star Trek Discovery, the 4th season, that I've I've not even seen yet. I've tried to avoid things so it doesn't get spoiled, but that's been removed from Netflix here in the UK, where it was, the previous seasons. The new season is not showing, and there's a lot of Star Trek coming up. May the 4th or May the 5th or whenever it is, we have Strange New Worlds. I'm worried, am I going to be able to see that show? It is a show I'm very much looking forward to, but is it going to be available? I haven't been able to see the 4K director's edition of Star Trek The Motion Picture, which dropped last week, because again, that's on Paramount Plus and isn't on physical media yet, although watch this space for when it is, because obviously we're called Home Media Minefield for a reason, which we'll come to. But I just do feel like I'm not only am I missing out, but I'm going to hit potential spoilers. And obviously doing things like this show is really only relevant when new episodes are dropping weekly. And
I don't know about that. We've had this argument before, but yeah, I think we can do it whenever. That's the joy of the internet. The internet lives forever.
Well, there you go. But anyway, so that was this week's news, and it was, I know last week I was talking about Star Wars, which isn't really Star Trek relevant, and but no, this week some definite Star Trek news, some exciting news. But as I said, I'm a little puzzled as to what the hell they're doing with this, to be honest. But I'm in for it, and I'm intrigued to know who Brent Spiner is going to play in this show.
I mean, if there's already a Picard character though for him, right? Aiden Soong, right?
But well, this is true. If it's going to be, if
it's going to be back in we go back to his season 1 character.
Yes, yes, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, and not, you're right. He had 2 characters season 1, not Data, who died.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever.
Which, if anybody's saying that's a spoiler, then they're 20 years behind the curve.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we're going to start digging into this then. So let's go ahead and engage.
Picard episode 6. Someone watched a Christopher Nolan movie. And so we open with Picard on the ground with blood in his mouth. And then we jump back 30 minutes to the party, where Girardi has enough Borg Queen in her to break the rest of the crew in. And Picard gives Renee Picard a pep talk, which makes Soong angry. And then Girardi sings a song to distract us all from something or other. And so I guess that distraction worked, because I don't remember what it was. And then Soong gets so mad he tries to run Renee Picard over with his car. But our Picard pushes her out of the way and gets run over. Cue Picard on the ground with blood. Back in Soong's lab, Cora discovers that she's a genetic creation, and Soong has been trying to make humans for a while, but keeps failing. And Cora is the first to make it out of teenage years. Meanwhile, Picard has been taken to the hot doctor, stabilized at the expense of her defibrillator, and he won't come out of his coma. The Watcher takes a look and says that Picard appears to be trapped in his mind, so she will need to go in and get him. Bum, bum, bum.
And I really can't wait till we get to our thoughts on this one from your recap there, Pete. So, but before we go there, we're going to have a look at the production side and make it so. Alrighty, so this episode was once again directed by Jonathan Frakes and was written by Cindy Appel and Jane Maggs, both of which, or all 3 of which, should I say, we've talked about on previous episodes, so I won't look at that. So I'm looking at some of the other creatives involved in this series, and starting with the cinematographer. Obviously, Jonathan Frakes would be relying very much on him as his right-hand man in the production of this. So the cinematographer is Jimmy Lindsay for this show. Jimmy has credits going back some decades, in fact, and started off in the camera department and has worked his way through. But as a director of photography, he has worked with Robert Rodriguez on things such as Spy Kids 4 and Machete, to name just a couple of movies there, but has done a lot in the world of TV. He's been the director of photography on the TV shows Revolution, From Dusk Till Dawn, the series. Again, I guess another Rodriguez connection there. The Limitless spin-off series, the TV series that span off from the Limitless movie starring Bradley Cooper. The Brave, Timeless, which is a really fun sci-fi time travel show. The Code, and now here on Star Trek Picard. And I see that in terms of future coming projects, he is attached to the Untitled Quantum Leap sequel project, which kind of makes me quite excited. So so I thought it's only fair to credit him. And on the other side of the look of the show, obviously director of photography, responsible for lighting the show and the various camera aspects, but production designer David Blass, production designer for this show. Again, David has got credits that go quite far back in the industry. Again, having worked through the art department, moving into being full-blown production designer. Earlier credits include things like the TV series Black Scorpion and Sheer Genius, Cold Case, Beauty and the Geek, Rectify, Longmire, Justified, the series, Constantine, Secrets and Lies, Preacher, The Boys, and Star Trek Picard. So again, quite a lot of I guess sci-fi type credits there to his name. But yeah, so in terms of guest stars, there wasn't anybody that we haven't already talked about on previous episodes. Obviously, you mentioned, I love that you say it and not me, but we've got the Hot Doctor, which is obviously what I'm always thinking, played by Sol Rodriguez, coming back to play Dr. Teresa Ramirez in this. And of course, we had once again Penelope Mitchell back as Renee Picard. So so there you go, Pete. A lot of talking. Have you got a drink today?
Actually, I don't have a drink. I finished it.
There you go. I have one in my captain's mug here. So
that's a good one. I will drink my tears and sadness, but let's have a refreshment.
Go for it, Pete. Announce it.
Tea, Earl Grey, hot.
Okay, so this is for anyone new to the this is just a little bit of fun. It's not the definitive collection necessarily, but this is where we talk about Easter eggs, references to other Star Treks, or indeed other film and TV properties. We see if we can spot any, and if we miss anything, we really do welcome you to put in the comments or whatever down below any that we may have missed. So did any jump out to you, Pete?
I mean, not really. I'm sorry. Girardi singing felt a little bit like Data's sort of jazz time, right? And like, I know it's not quite jazz singing, but that's what I think of it. And so that's sort of tied in there for me a little bit. You've got, I'm sure, Picard pushing Renee out of the way to get hit by the car is, it's that was Back to the Future. That's what I'm thinking about.
No.
Like, right?
There is a Star Trek reference there, I think, as well, though.
There is one there, right?
Yeah,
because
on the city, which I always bring up, but City on the Edge of Forever, which is
you're right.
Favorite, Kirk has to not push Edith Keeler out of the way from the oncoming truck, so that she, so he doesn't cause a paradox there. But this is kind of the opposite.
This is the opposite.
Picard
Yeah.
has to push Rene out of the way.
Renee
So,
out of the, yeah.
so I thought that was a good connection.
That was a little bit of a connection. I was looking for a connection in when Cora, the Sung child, is like pulling up all of the past versions of her that failed, and for a while they were all Greek names, but then they switched, and so I was like, oh, there's something there, but I'm not digging into it. Yeah, that's and then I was trying to think about with the Doctor and the AED. I feel like there's another there's a similar situation in one of the other time travel Star Trek episodes, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, I see. Yeah, about the not getting involved with somebody from a different time,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, that, well, which is again a bit Edith Keeler, isn't it? It's a bit City on the Edge of Forever, but yeah, no, absolutely.
What did you see?
And, yeah, well, I mean, I agree with a lot of yours there. I mean, obviously the title itself, 2 of 1, is a bit of a Borg reference there of the way, like 7 of 9, etc. So, you've got Jurati and the Borg Queen here. So that's a bit of a reference. In terms of, I was trying really hard, like you, when Cora was looking through the archives on the computer, so Adam Sung's archives, to see if there were any connections. And I think, I'm not 100% certain, but I think once again, there was some mention to riots or civil unrest, which for me, this is, I don't know whether it's that intentional, but that links to the DS9 episode, which I love, which is Past Tense with the Bell riots, which is supposed to be the same year that this is set, in 2024. So I don't know quite whether there was a reference in there or not, but I was looking for one. But yeah, a few things I picked out. You'll like the first one, Pete, because it's I know of your love for Star Trek Enterprise. And when they're in the museum and Picard asks, obviously, which again is a reference to a previous Picard episode, he tells Rene to look up, which is obviously what his mother tells him. But she stops on a shuttle and he asks what model that is. And what I love is, in one of the things they did in Star Trek Enterprise was they sort of filled in the gaps from present day to the flight of Zefram Cochrane's Phoenix in First Contact, and then filled some gaps between that and the NX-01 from Enterprise. And one of the first shuttles that we see is indeed the same shuttle that was hanging up there in the museum. And it's not particularly big, but for those of you that are watching this on the video, I've got a couple of pictures up. One is from this week's Picard episode showing that shuttle, and then the other, where it says Linda Park, it's got Linda Park's credit there, is from the opening credits of Star Trek Enterprise. And apparently that was called an OV-165, which was a NASA shuttle that was, in the kind of near future. So that was a reference. Which I thought you might like that one, Pete. I thought as it's referencing our beloved Enterprise, you might enjoy that one.
So what I will say is that when I was watching it, I went, "Oh, I recognize that ship. Why do I recognize that ship?" And then I thought, "Oh, you idiot, because it's 2024. They're just showing the shuttle pods that NASA uses now." And I was like, "That must be where I recognize it from." And now I realize that is not the case. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, obviously in the museum they did have a lot of current and past NASA set dressing like in there, but they also had little hints to the future. The other one I picked up on, and again, I don't know whether this is Keith reading more into it than intended or whether it is 100% intentional, but behind, again, I've got a picture there that's not, I've struggled to find pictures this week online, but Renee is stood in front of a, if you like, a board that says Nomad, right? Which I think is a reference to the original series episode, The Changeling, where they encounter Nomad, which was sent, launched from Earth during the early 21st century, they say in that. And I'm assuming that's supposed to be a blatant reference as well. But I don't know. But I kind of, in my head canon, I like to think that's exactly what it is. So Nomad
that's amazing. Yeah.
Launched by this point, and obviously James T. Kirk will encounter it, in a couple of 100 years. But yeah, I don't know. But those, I didn't really spot anything else, to be honest, Pete. That was kind of me reaching a little bit. But as I said, if anybody listening to this, if we've missed anything, please put in the comments or contact us. We'll put contact details at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, moving forward then, it's prediction time, Pete.
How many lights are there, Keith?
There are 4 lights. Okay. I'll be honest, I've got nothing beyond what we discussed last week for me.
Okay. Here you go. Here's my prediction.
Okay.
Picard is going to have witnessed his mother being abducted and murdered, or something like that. He's going to witness his mother undergoing some sort of trauma, and that sort of abandonment is why he's never taken a wife, because he is always afraid of losing the woman that he's close to because of his childhood loss there. And we're gonna have some sort of moment where he comes to terms with the loss of his mother, and then he's going to go back to the future and get married at 90 whatever, and it's going to be gross.
Do you know, it's great that you said that. I'd actually totally forgotten that next week, of course, we've got an episode inside Picard's mind, haven't we?
Yeah, no. I'm not looking forward to it, but it's going to be there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So next week's episode potentially could be a sort of a bit like they did in Discovery season 3, where they had a couple of episodes that took place in the mirror universe that the Guardian had taken them through to, that had nothing to do with the main story. And this would be maybe I forget, it ended on that cliffhanger, didn't it? With see, I've forgotten already. That's not good.
Yeah.
So we're going to have an episode sort of journeying through Picard's mind with
Yep.
Yeah. Him.
We're going to have an episode where we just boink around in this old dude's mind and figure out why he's messed up.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I don't think not getting married is messed up. So I don't really love that premise, but there we go.
Well, for someone who isn't married, I'm glad you're saying that, Pete.
Well, no, but it's just it always sort of bugs me when it's like, oh, it's terrible. Why didn't you settle down with anyone? And I'm like, yeah, because sometimes that's the right decision.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out exactly.
Not even it doesn't work out. Sometimes that is the right decision. Not everyone should be in a relationship. It just isn't. We're not all paired up peas in a pod, right? Let's not be ridiculous.
Again, preaching to the converted, Pete. But but I don't want to make this about personal things. So there's a rich history we could dig into there, but I'm not going there. I'm glad I'm not on screen right now. So yes,
I'm not playing Q. I'm not playing Q, and this is not your therapy session. Okay.
Indeed. I mean, just a reminder from last week, the screen predictions there. I mean, one of them has sort of happened. We were saying about, Jurati Agnes merging with the Borg Queen, which of course has absolutely happened here. I still think that the Borg Queen that we saw in episode 1 is Agnes,
Yep.
simply because she refers to him in the message as Picard and not
Yep.
Locutus,
And not
they
Locutus.
bring Locutus up in this episode. And obviously, you know, as we predicted before as well, there's no doubt, I think, that what Adam Sung is doing is going to lead to the eugenics experiments and the eugenics wars, and I don't think that's any sort of great stretch, I know, but it does sort of appear that that's what might be going on there, right?
I disagree on that front.
Oh, okay.
I think that he's already done Khan. He already made Khan, right? Khan was supposed to shoot off in the 90s, I thought.
Well, yeah, but then again, remember we talked last week about
that's all messed up.
retconned that, you know, the 100 years leading up to first contact, records were messy because of, you know, wars and EMPs and all of that sort of stuff, and records, and I mean, I don't know. There was, I think, something again when I haven't gone back and sort of freeze framed or anything like that, but I think there was some mention again in his files about super soldier programs or something.
That's what I was going to say. Is that when Leah Thompson is his boss or whatever, she says like, "Oh, you were doing soldier experiments," and so I think that was when that's the reference to Soong.
Right.
So Soong was made already. I don't know. Not Soong, Khan. Whatever.
Khan. Yeah, Khan Noonien Singh rather than Noonien Soong.
Yeah. Oh no,
Gene Roddenberry and his names. Yeah.
Yeah. The records were messed up. It is Khan Noonien Soong.
Yeah. Yeah, as played by Benedict Cumberbatch, but let's not.
Yeah. It's all right. We got plenty of Tribble blood. We're going to be fine.
Whole nother thing. Yeah. Well, again, actually, on that note, I know we're off of Easter eggs now, but when you think about it, the whole thing last week that he did with Corey, you know, with the injecting what Q had given into the blood and all this, does kind of feel like a Khan super blood kind of thing, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of this waffle. I guess we should draw a line. Yes. So the line must be drawn here. All right. So this is the bit where we discuss our real feelings on this episode, any nitpicks, problems, successes, whatever. And I get the impression, Pete, you're all ready to go. So I'll let you go first.
What I will say is that this is the episode where I went, oh, I don't care. Right. And so there was very little in this episode that I cared about. I didn't care about the Mission Impossible hack into the system. I was somewhat interested in the Jurati Borg Queen dynamic with the Borg Queen in her head and that. But then it like really took a turn when I don't know, when she started singing, maybe before then. When did the Borg Queen tell her that she was going to just take over the ship? By that point, I was like, well, this got boring. They went back to that old thing. Like, it's like they set stuff up, they knock it down, and then they bring it back up again. And I'm like, well, you've already taken away all the stakes, right? And a great example of that is when you have Picard hit by the car and everyone's like, oh no, we got to get him to a hospital and save him. And I was like, nah, you don't really. Like, he already died. He's in a synthetic body. If it's time for the synthetic body to go, it's time for the synthetic body to go, right? Like, he already cheated death once. Why do we need to cheat it a second time? It's also a synthetic body. See what happens. So I was historically underwhelmed by this episode is maybe the way to say it. And the Korra reveal was completely expected, and I even felt like the filmmakers were like, "Yeah, you guys know all this, right?" So like they didn't really try to sell it, which I felt grateful for, because that would have just made it awkward. Um, and then when they were like, "Oh, Dad, what did you do?" Uh, and that was like a cliffhanger, right? I was like, "Oh, is this the end of the episode?" But then nope, the end of the episode was that they came back and it was like the Watcher's like, "I'm gonna go into her brain," and I was like, "Oh, so we got two cliffhangers in this episode," and I didn't really care about either of them. Like, I was underwhelmed.
Yeah, no, I mean, all of what you said is fair. I think we talked a little bit last week about how it all feels a bit thin.
Yeah,
It just feels a bit thin entertainment. There doesn't feel like masses of depth here. I mean, I thought the episode was entertaining for what it was. I thought they were going to do something a bit more interesting with it, actually, because obviously it was a short episode. This one, it wasn't the RT of this was less than 40 minutes, and some of that was recap as you went into last week about we can actually skip that on Amazon Prime, but I don't think you can on Paramount Plus. But then when they put the time caption up, like sort of 33 minutes earlier, I
yeah,
thought, oh, we're going to have a real time episode. I thought they were going to do that with it, rather than sort of a
nope,
regular narrative. I thought, oh, we're going to get a one-shot episode or something here, which could have been quite cool. Could have been Jonathan Frakes, stretching his director creative tools and whatever, and doing that. But then it was immediately just a normal narrative where the time jump things were literally just the act outs for each part. The whole, much as I love Mission Impossible and whatever, that is a different genre. And I've grabbed some, again, I tried to grab some screenshots from this episode to put up here. And you look at that, everybody's looking great in their evening wear and whatever, but apart from the fact we've got head Borg Queen, that only Jurati sees, which again is a
yeah,
trope that's been sort of so done now. But other than that, you look at those pictures there, and it doesn't look anything like an episode of Star Trek, right? It just looks like an episode of MacGyver or something. So,
Here's what I'll say: it looks like the episode "Our Man Bashir" from Deep Space
oh
Nine,
yes, there we go.
which was a garbage episode.
Another, yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting punchy, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I mean the whole, and we know that obviously Alison Peel is talented, and she's a a singer, musician, and whatever, as well as an actress. But the sort of cover of Shadows of the Night, which was that a Pat Benatar song? I've got a feeling. I haven't done my research
I have no
properly,
idea.
but that sort of jazz cover that they did, that was a bit ridiculous in the fact that I'm like, okay, so is the Borg Queen also controlling the band, the follow spot? do you know what I mean? Because
She did. She killed the power, and then all of a sudden it's back.
yeah, well, the
for
band
that.
come on, and she's got a follow spot on her and all of
Uh,
that sort of thing. And I sort of think, had they just done that with her doing that song in the dark, sort of a cappella, again, I'm applying logic to something that's, I know, ridiculous, but that would have made more sense to me than what they chose to do there with having the band break into song with her, and as I said, her own personal lighting, all of that sort of
yeah.
thing just felt a bit ridiculous.
Uh,
uh I want to bring some positives to it. I will say that I actually did think, although a little sentimental and a little schmaltzy, I did actually quite like the scene between Jean-Luc Picard and Rene Picard.
I did like that too. You're right. I should
Yeah.
have mentioned that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was decent.
I thought that was quite nicely written and quite nicely performed by them both. And yeah, I didn't have a problem with that. I liked the fact it linked back to the, his mother and, just look up or look up to the stars or whatever, all of that sort of thing. I thought that was a decent scene.
It was a good Star Trek pep talk.
Yeah, and it had that it did have that sort of, you referenced earlier, that sort of Back to the Future quality about it. Meeting an ancestor, at a different point of their life and all of this sort of thing. So I did think that part worked quite nicely. I thought some of the stuff with Head Borg Queen and Jurati, some bits worked better than others. I didn't like the sort of pass it Rios kind of thing. That I just thought felt really forced and a tad ridiculous and of course awkward. Seven barely had anything to do in this episode other than look pretty in an evening dress, which is easy for her to pull off, of course.
Yeah, Jerry Ryan nails it.
Yeah. Obviously what they're doing with Raffi is that they're not, unfortunately, they're not giving Michelle Hurd the opportunity, I think, to act that through properly, because what they seem to do is it jitters between something really emotional and then some kind of snarky comedic thing. And unfortunately, it's not her fault. She's reading the dialogue that's been written for her, but she's not given the opportunity to switch between those, without losing the emotional thread a little bit. I think I think they should have gone one way or the other, and I think it would have been more interesting to stick with her trying to deal with the Elnor situation, and do less of the comedy stuff with Rios and the fact that she's got history with 7 of 9 and all of that sort of stuff. I think let her go with the one strand and stop trying to sort of put those sort of modern relationship type jokes in there. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm not
exactly. No.
Well.
I think you've hit it perfectly. Like, she's flip-flopping between these two sort of radically different emotional states, and they're not giving her enough connective tissue in between. Or they should have just made the choice to go with one, like you said. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
they're trying to be. It's like they're trying to be too cute with everything, and it's like let's. Again, it's about the thin writing. I wanted it to be deeper than that, and because I think what I think is a shame is the way it was set up at the beginning of the season. Bearing in mind we're over halfway through the season now, and there was really something that they could have run with there. I think that was quite an interesting character moment for a character. Bearing in mind in season 1 we had that hint towards the fact that she had a son that she didn't get to see that often, and there were remember
I don't think it was a hint. The son showed up.
Well, not the hint, but they had that scene. But what I'm saying is Elnor was kind of
surrogate,
if you like, a surrogate son, and she'd obviously had issues in her life with her biological son, and I don't know. I just feel it's a missed opportunity. I feel it's a missed opportunity, and one of the things that I was really thinking about, obviously. I have way too much time on my hands, but one of the things I was thinking about a lot this week was the fact that, and I think it was one of my criticisms as well about Discovery season 3, is with this serialized story model that they've got, they have a wonderful opportunity to flesh out characters and have character story arcs that you didn't get in, you know, Next Gen or the original series or any of the other, you know, shows that came before. But they don't seem to they don't seem to uh you know, they don't seem to embrace that. It feels to me it's like they have these threads, and then they did it in season 1 of this as well. They let it go. We're clearly, well, we're not clearly, we're likely next week to be going off on a tangent for an episode. And one of the things I'm excited about, I guess, Strange New Worlds, when it comes, if we get it here in the UK, but Strange New Worlds next month is the fact that apparently, even though that is going to have threads like Enterprise had, and you know, that go throughout the season, it is going to be more of an episodic show with individual episodes with one or two, you know, things tying them through, apparently, what I've read, without wanting any spoilers. But the little bit that I have read seems to be that. And I'm kind of welcoming that, because I'm wondering if that is where Star Trek works best, whether it's a planet of the week or problem of the week. I don't know. I just feel, what my point is, I feel like they've missed an opportunity here with these characters and with this story to do something a little bit more compelling than what we're actually getting.
I'm with you 100%. What I will say in sort of contrast to your point there about Star Trek working best as an anthology is that I think that, as you know, Star Trek Enterprise season 3 is my favorite all-time season
Yeah.
of Star Trek.
Yes.
And that was not at all an anthology. That was what's the other, episodic?
It wasn't. No, it wasn't episodic, but it was serialized to an extent. But what I think with that is, I think they got the balance. But bearing in mind, we were talking 26 episode season as well back then, as opposed to, you know, 10 or whatever we're getting here. But I felt like they got that sort of balance quite right, which I don't think they've done on the newer shows, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Discovery season 1 did a pretty decent job, I think, of telling one story across all. Was that 12 or 16 episodes?
Don't remember.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was less than 20.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think they have been able to do it well, right? Star Trek has been able to do it well, but I have not seen them do it well with Picard. You know, season 1 was a bit of a mess. I think they wasted episodes in there, particularly episode 5, which is the French costume party.
I knew you liked that one.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that one made me mad. And
I think that was another Frakes episode, to be fair, but yeah.
2 takes Frakes could have used another take. Okay, so that's where I'm at there, and yeah, like, I don't know. I think it does boil down to the writing. I think that, yeah, Jurati in season 1 of Picard, they really tried to give her an arc, right, like a moral, emotional arc, and they kind of processed through it, but then they did the same thing where they sort of like cut the legs out of the gravity, to mix metaphors there really weirdly, but you know what I mean?
I like it. Yeah.
They pulled the rug out from underneath it real quick by then saying like, nah, it doesn't matter. And then in this episode, you know, in season 2 of Picard, Jurati's just doing this will they won't they thing with the Borg Queen that I'm like, it doesn't work. I get the like echoing motif of relationships that's coming through all of these. And I think I predicted that in episode 1, but is that, you know, so like Jurati's motif is, am I alone? Is the Borg Queen my partner? Is this how I find relationships? And it's like, okay, but you're not quite there, right? Like, it's just like they wrote that on a Post-it note and stuck it on the wall, and that's all they're showing us. They didn't flesh it out any. And to your point exactly, they're doing the exact same thing with Raffi, where they like just sort of wrote on a Post-it note, oh, losing Elnor is real bad. But
Mhm,
like, there's more to it than that, right? Bring in
mhm,
the son, bring in the fact that she lost her relationship with Seven of Nine, like,
mhm.
and instead they're not fleshing it out. So it is
No.
disappointing.
No, they're absolutely not. The other thing I will say about this episode that I totally didn't buy, and when I was sat there, I was like, "Oh God, wait till I talk to Pete about this." Was, you know, we love Brent Spiner. He's a good actor and all of this, but again, I did not buy at all his kind of breakdown in front of Corey after he's hit Picard with the
Yeah.
Tesla, and that whole kind of I did it all for you. You were my greatest achievement. All of that sort of stuff, and then her going and doing what I always call the microfiche scene, the scrolling the records, because I think to myself, would she have not done that before? It just again, that all felt really forced to me. It didn't feel organic, none of that. Again, it's not that it was badly performed by either of the actors, but what they were given to work with there, I didn't buy at all. I was like, seriously, this is coming out now because
Yeah.
obviously Q has been involved, but yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of like not really buying that at all. The other thing that bothers me, and I don't know whether we're going to get this in the next episode if we're doing the sort of Picard mind walk thing, but the character of Talon, played by Orla Brady, there's still no
Yeah.
kind of, it bothers me that she looks the same, the same as Laris, but I don't know. It's just kind of nothing is really sort of explained or followed through with that, although it may yet come, perhaps.
Yeah. She's got to look like Laris because she's going to go into Picard's mind and then solve the mommy problem, which then sets up the fact that he can fall in love with Laris.
Hmm.
And because it is a Laris avatar doing it, it's
Yeah,
all going to work out in the end.
yeah. I mean, I understand what, and it's great that they're, they're allowing the actors. I don't know how many more times they can get away with it with Brent Spiner, but that they're
Mm.
allowing the actors to play other characters and stuff. But I want something a bit more connecting it, sort of thing, and I'm not getting that, and that's kind of irritating me. As I said, whether or not it'll come, we still got 4 episodes to go, and as we remember from season 1, a lot can happen or not happen
Or not happen.
in those 4 episodes. But yeah, I haven't got much else to add, Pete, of any value here. I feel it's kind of like you. It was just okay. It was entertaining, but I haven't gone back to it. I haven't really thought about it. I'd even forgotten the fact of the setup at the end for the next episode. When I was thinking about predictions, I hadn't even gone there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sort of passive with this one.
So I will say this is the first time I didn't watch the episode twice
Right.
because I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
And some of the other episodes I've watched like 3 times, 4 times in between the Thursday release and when we record. Which to be honest is a moving target, but still. Um, yeah, I think should we give it our pip rating?
Yeah, I was going to say on that note, yeah, we've got our rank pin rating system here, which is pips from ensign up to captain as to what we think of this show. So yeah, what are yours, Pete, for this episode? I know you've been somewhere along the middle ranks for some
Yeah.
time.
Well, I think last episode I gave it a commander, right? Or lieutenant commander. Last
I
episode
think
I
you gave
bumped it up.
you gave it a lieutenant commander, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd been in the lieutenant range last episode. I was positive. I gave it a lieutenant commander. And this episode, I'm giving it an ensign. I thought
Oh
this one
wow.
was a real stinker. Yeah.
Okay. Well, um, following tradition, I'm going to be slightly more generous, but not much more. I'm going to give this one a Lieutenant Junior grade, which is effectively a 1.5.
Half a star up.
Yeah, as opposed to the 1 that you've given it. But
Yeah,
I wanted it to be a lieutenant, but it didn't quite get there for me. I had too many problems with it. As I said, silly things, even silly things like the Agnes's musical number. It just bothered me. It just bothered me. If she'd done that in the dark in a cappella, I would have been less distracted by it. But the fact that the band were in on it as well kind of
100% accurate.
bothered
100%
me.
accurate. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think potentially next week's one could be a lot of fun if they handle it in the right way. But we'll see. It's an opportunity to do something more creative. With this one, as I said, I thought, had I been, all due respect to Mr. Frakes, who obviously I love, but had I been given the opportunity to direct this, I think, if I'd been that lucky, I would have wanted to try something like, I think a simulated single take real time episode of this, party heist thing could have been quite fun. But hey, that would have been a different episode, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, if any of you watching or listening disagree, we're going to invite you as we open a channel.
Okay. If you are watching this on YouTube, you have found the Home Media Minefield channel. If you are not watching it on YouTube, please go to YouTube and find the Home Media Minefield channel. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell icon. If you're watching this on YouTube now, please find us as a podcast. We're on all the good.
Pete, your microphone went there. While you're sorting that out, I'll finish that up for you. So we can be found on all the social media apps at LSWOTcast. That's short for Let's See What's Out There Cast. You can follow us on all the socials with that. You can also email the show on lswotcast@gmail.com, or you can put your comments, if you're watching us on YouTube, in the comment section below. If you want to get in touch with Pete, he can be found on social media at Too Many E's. That's TOOMANYEES. You can find my other work on another YouTube channel called British Isles. That's EYLES, as in my last name. And there's some short films that I've made there. And please remember that we also have episodes on Star Wars, some of the shows in the Star Wars universe, such as The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. And we've also recently been doing, in fact, we have 2 episodes up currently of the Marvel show Moon Knight. So please check that out as well. Pete, do we have you back?
Yeah, sorry about that. You got me?
Yes, we have. Sorry, I jumped in because
you did great. You did great. But it does leave us to thank Neil Myers for providing our theme song. You can find his website in the link below, Neil Myers Music, I think, and also William McLaughlan for our wonderful logo. Link to his work is also in our show notes.
There you go. And that just leaves me to thank you for listening to this or watching this wherever you are. Thank you, Pete, for joining me from the back seat, Pete, of your car. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And we'll speak to you next time on
Let's See What's Out There.